Messerschmitt Me 163 Komet was a German rocket-powered interceptor aircraft. It is the only rocket-powered aircraft ever to have been operational and the first piloted aircraft of any type to exceed 1000 km per hour in level flight. Its performance and aspects of its design were absolutely unique. Work on the design started around 1937 under the aegis of the Deutsche Forschungsanstalt für Segelflug, the German Institute for Sailplane Flight. In early 1941, production of a prototype series known as the Me 163 began. In October 1941, the first prototype set a new world speed record of 1005 km per hour, piloted by Heini Dittmar with no damage to the aircraft during the attempt. The overall performance was tremendous. The plans were made to put Me 163 squadrons all over Germany in a 40-kilometer rings around any potential target. Development of an operational version was given the highest priority. In December 1941, work on an upgraded design began. A simplified construction format for the airframe was deemed necessary, as the Me 163A version was not truly optimized for large-scale production. The result was the Me 163B subtype. The fuel system was particularly troublesome, as leaks incurred during hard landings easily caused fires and explosions. In service, the Me 163 turned out to be difficult to use against enemy aircraft. Its tremendous speed and climb rate meant a target was reached and passed in a matter of seconds. Although the Me 163 was a stable gun platform, it required excellent marksmanship to bring down an enemy bomber. The Komet was equipped with two 30mm Mk108 cannons, which had a relatively low muzzle velocity and were accurate only at short range, making it almost impossible to hit a slow-moving bomber. 4 or 5 hits were typically needed to take down a B-17. The initial test deployment of the aircraft occurred with Erprobungskommando 16 or Test Unit 16, led by Major Wolfgang Späte and first established in 1942. Test Unit 16 received their first B-series armed Komets in January 1944 and was ready for action by May. Major Späte flew the first ever Me 163B combat sortie on the 13th of May 1944. A typical Me 163 tactic was to fly vertically upwards through the bombers at 9,000 meters, climb to 12,000 meters, then dive through the formation again, firing as they went by. This approach afforded the pilot 2 brief chances to fire a few rounds from his cannons before gliding back to his airfield. The pilots reported it was possible to make 4 passes on a bomber, but only if it was flying alone. Pilots underwent attitude chamber training to harden them against the rigors of operating in the thin air of the stratosphere without a pressure suit. Following the initial combat trial missions, Major Späte formed the Luftwaffe's first dedicated Me 163 fighter wing, Jagdgeschwader 400 or Fighter Wing 400. Its purpose was to provide additional protection for the Leuna synthetic gasoline works, which were raided frequently during almost all of 1944. Further defensive units of rocket fighters were planned for Berlin and the Ruhr. The first actions involving the Me-163B in regular Luftwaffe active service occurred in July 1944 when two American B-17 flying fortresses were attacked without confirmed kills. Combat operations continued from May 1944 to spring 1945. During this time, there were 9 confirmed kills, with 14 Me-163s lost. Sergeant Siegfried Schubert was the most successful pilot, with 3 bombers to his credit. Allied fighter pilots soon noted the short duration of the powered flight. They would wait, and when the engine exhausted its propellant, pounce on the unpowered Komet. However, the Komet was extremely maneuverable during gliding flight. Another Allied method was to attack the fields the Komets operated from and strafe them under the Me-163s landed. At the end of 1944, 91 aircraft had been delivered to Fighter Wing 400, but lack of fuel had kept most of them grounded. It was clear that the original plan for a huge network of Me-163 bases would never be realized. Up to the point, Fighter Wing 400 had lost only 6 aircraft due to enemy action. 9 were lost to other causes, remarkably few for such a revolutionary and technically advanced aircraft. In the last days of the Third Reich, the Me-163 was given up in favor of the more successful Me-262. At the beginning of May 1945, Me-163 operations were stopped and Fighter Wing 400 disbanded, and many of its pilots sent to fly Me-262s. In any operational sense, the Komet was a failure. Although it shot down 16 aircraft, mainly 4-engined bombers, it did not warrant the effort put into the project. Due to fuel shortages late in the war, few went into combat, and it took an experienced pilot with excellent shooting skills to achieve kills. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and support my channel on PayPal. Details in the description.